And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Thank you for joining us on the marine portion of today's broadcast. First, we're going to take a look at our sea ice conditions. As you can see, we still have a little bit of sea ice hanging on near Nome, but mostly ice-free waters. We also have some ice hanging on near Kotzebue as well. But as you go up to the Chukchi Sea, we're slowly losing some of that sea ice as well. Also starting to open up near Utqiagvik, as well as near Kaktovik. So summer is in full swing. As you can see, in 5 days, we continue to see that sea ice erode. It looks like Nome will be totally in ice-free conditions within 5 days, and ice will be reduced a bit near Kotzebue as well. Let's take a look at your important weekend marine forecast. Again, near Juneau, we are expecting along the coast winds generally around 15 knots from the south, waves up to about 5 feet. In interior areas, we're expecting waves could be up to 3 feet near Ketchikan, and but winds generally 10 knots. Again, be a little cautious near channeled areas. Waves and winds could be a little bit higher. As we go into Saturday, a weak low approaches the system. So we see winds increase slightly in some areas and waves, more so the waves. We have our waves up to about 5 feet. In interior areas, we're seeing winds up to and waves up to 2 feet. So basically similar conditions throughout much of the weekend. Friday for across south central along the North Gulf of Alaska coast. Again, ubiquitous winds of about 10 knots, a little bit higher south of Homer. Again, waves generally about 3 feet in Cook Inlet. Then as you go into Prince William Sound, we're looking at waves of about 2 feet. As we go into your Saturday, we're expecting similar conditions generally. We're looking at, again, waves 2 to 3 feet across Cook Inlet. And even as you go into outside waters, waves of about 3 feet. Let's look at your Alaska Peninsula forecast. On Friday, generally waves 2 to 3 feet in Bristol Bay with general 20-knot wind. Off of Kodiak, you're looking at a 15-knot wind and 4-foot waves, and similar conditions along the Alaska Peninsula. Saturday, the story changes. That's when we have that strong low-pressure system moving into that area, and it's going to be causing some fairly dramatic changes in waves and winds. So be careful if you're going out to the Alaska Peninsula on Saturday. You're going to have a dramatic change from Friday. So near Kodiak on Saturday, we're looking at about 25-knot winds, waves 5 feet. And then near Sand Point and Falls Pass, we're looking at 40-knot winds, waves up to about 10 feet. Even in sheltered areas of Bristol Bay, we're looking at up to 8-foot waves, winds up to 30 knots. Let's look at your Friday as we go towards the west. Across the Aleutian Islands, we're looking at winds generally 20 to 25 knots, waves 4 to 6 feet. As we move into your Saturday, again, it mostly is going to be impacting eastern portions of the Aleutian Islands. But again, south of Unalaska, we're looking at 12-foot waves, 35 knots in the gale territory for the eastern Aleutian Islands. And slowly petering off as you go towards the central Aleutian Islands, we're looking at just waves of 5 to 6 feet, winds of about 25 knots. Now let's look at your forecast as you go into Bristol Bay and up near Hooper Bay. For Friday, we're looking, again, it's going to be fairly sheltered, I guess up to 3 feet near the Pribilof Islands, but generally 1 to 3 feet across much of the area, and winds 5 to 15 knots. As we move into Saturday, again, be careful if you're going into southern portions of Bristol Bay. Again, near the Pribilofs, we could be expecting up to 6-foot waves and 25 knots. But generally, as you go north, it's going to be far enough away from that low that we're still going to be looking at 2 to 3-foot waves and 10 to 15 knots. As you move up to our Arctic coast, out in our ice areas, winds 5 to 10 knots, fairly calm. As you go through the Bering Strait, we're looking at waves of about 4 feet, winds up to 20 knots. Similar conditions on Saturday. Again, about 20-knot wind, 4-foot waves, and in ice-free waters, waves up to 2 feet. So let's revisit where these low-pressure systems are coming again. So here's Friday with that weaker low. Again, we have that ridge of pressure occurring along the Gulf of Alaska coast. By Saturday, this much more impressive low hits southern portions of the Bering, western portions of Bristol Bay, and across the Aleutians and into the Alaska Peninsula, and even pushing waves up a little more near Kodiak as well. So travel with caution if you're going to be going in those areas this weekend.